handful of other unicorns stand at a crossroads as users are increasingly concerned about these issues. Do they continue to sow chaos and eschew moral responsibility in the remorseless pursuit of scale? Or do they reboot to put ethics and empathy, defined by one UK company as the emotional impact a company has on its people, staff and customers, and society, at the very heart of what they do? As I write, with COVID-19 plunging much of the planet into lockdown, and America named one of the world's coronavirus epicenters, the best and worst of tech is on display. On the one hand, life would be far harder now without Amazon to bring essentials to our doorsteps, Zoom and Skype to talk to our colleagues and families, and Netflix for streaming TV and movies. On the other, tech has also enabled a flow of misinformation and sometimes dangerous lies about the virus, disseminated in minutes across the globe on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and others. It has also exposed, once again, the perils for delivery drivers and warehouse workers without proper social protections, and so obliged to risk their lives by continuing to work just to put food on the table. I wrote Trampled by Unicorns to lift the lid on all of this and show how, in my view, many of the industry's household names sidelined morality as a price for technological leaps forward and abandoned their original ideals. Instead, they have built products that pay little attention to their effects on users, and still less attention to their social impact. No one expects these innovators to be perfect. When you're doing something new, mistakes, even major ones, are inevitable. But too often these companies have concealed their errors and stopped asking questions that were too difficult or uncomfortable to answer. Drawing on my journey in high-growth tech companies across Europe, Russia, Asia, and the United States, this book is my personal take on where big tech, that exclusive club of tech unicorns, decacorns, hectacorns, and now trillion-dollar companies, a name remains to be found for these new animals, with increasingly dominant positions in their respective industries, went wrong, and why many of the world's 471, at the time of writing, unicorns, tech companies with a valuation of over $1 billion, are now confronting a whirlwind of their own making. I'll trace the origins and effects of what I've come to call the tech industry's empathy deficit, and argue that many of the most celebrated founders and companies share some of the key personality traits of psychopaths. The first part of this book takes stock of the situation and drills down into how we got here. Some of it will be all too familiar, particularly if you have spent many years working in tech. But while researching these chapters, I was taken aback by the extent and depth of the problems generated by my industry when I put them all together, the number of unspoken trade-offs that have been made and continue to be, the long-term impacts that we don't really talk about because we're too busy firefighting the immediate problems. And then, when you add it all up, you're faced with a question I have been asked hundreds of times. After criticizing the industry's humanity problem in a speech, an article, or a private conversation. Yeah, it's bad, but how is that different from the damage caused by Wall Street, the auto giants, big oil, big food? Pick your villain. The answer to that is clear. It is different. No other industry has so rapidly, profoundly, and extensively changed every aspect of our lives. No other industry has made us all both victim and villain at such scale. No other industry has built new tools, such as AI, which just a few years after their creation, we do not know how to control, and which may one day replace us rather than complement us. As a champion of the beneficial side of tech, I couldn't write about these problems without trying to offer solutions that, while benefiting the world, should also make businesses more sustainable. At a high level, the framework for the much-needed transformation is pretty simple. 1. Tech giants must accept their extraordinary power and the responsibility that comes with it. It is rather hypocritical for technologists to tout the massive changes they can bring to the world, but then downplay